All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Charles Marlowe. This is Millennial Trades. So I want to touch base with you guys before we start the next week. I really just want to go over some of the plays that I took on Friday. Last week was a very good week for me, trading options with an account that I started a couple of weeks ago with only $1,000. Last week, I made a 25% gain. So I went from a little over $1,100 on Monday to over $1,400. So at the rate that it's going, as long as I can keep this up and as long as I can, psychologically keep myself in a sort of winner's mindset, cut my losses early, not over trade. As long as I can keep the consistency going, I don't see why I couldn't have this account over $2,000 by next week, maybe the following week after that. But we'll see how it goes. We have had some pretty good volatility, at least with some of the equities that I've been trading. These trades I'm about to show you, some of them lasted 30 seconds, right? So I can enter a trade for a couple $100 and 30 seconds later, the contract is worth $50 or $60 more, and I can just sell it. But yeah, like I said, a 25% gain in the options trading account. I'm very happy with that. I think that's a very good return on my money. Even though, I'm actively trading, this isn't passive income. I'm actively in the market. I have to wake up every single morning and try to read the market context. I'll do a morning routine video, but basically I read news, I read about different stocks, different sectors, different commodities, and I just try to figure out what the, market context is going to be, and then you just have to watch it play out. My strategy, I think it works best first thing in the morning, so I like to try to be in and out of these trades within the first half an hour or so. Some of these trades I was in by, 9:33 in the morning. Like I said, very good return. I think it's a pretty good return, and my goal first is to double the account because I just want to show everybody it's possible. When I started trading options, there wasn't a whole lot of people on YouTube that were keeping it simple. If somebody had just explained to me that you're just trading the option premium, right? You're just buying the premium and you're trying to sell it for a higher price. If somebody had just explained that to me, I probably would have been trading options a lot sooner. I'm simply buying the premium and selling it for a higher price. Without further ado, let's go ahead and look at these trades. So, the first trade was on PayPal. Now, this is Friday morning. As you can see, we had supply, very heavy supply at 273, around the 273.50, but I'm going to round either up or down to the exact dollar amount. So about 273 is where the supply was. And I have to do a video about supply and demand, but a supply zone is basically, if you go to this 4-hour chart or a daily chart, a supply zone is basically a period of consolidation, a period of sideways action followed by a very strong move to the downside. And that is what we got back in early March, right? Like March 1st. So we got kind of some sideways action the 1st through the 2nd of March, and then it was followed by a pretty big move to the downside, and we kind of chopped around for a month or so. So when we got back up into this area, the last couple of days, this has actually worked for the last 3 days. You could have traded PayPal, somewhat towards the downside the last 3 days and made decent money, especially this first day. When PayPal and the price came back into this area from March, right, this supply zone that was established on March 1st, it raises the probability that this, going short or playing the short side, at least scalping the short side, it raises the probability that it's actually going to work. So zooming into Friday, right, again, in pre-market, as soon as we started reaching these levels like 275, trying to break 275, it just rejected automatically. So at the open, you can see we had a huge volume spike at the open. And what that tells me is that could be ending volume. That could be the last few orders, the passive buying orders, because the supply and demand zones, a lot of them they're established by institutions that have these passive buy orders, these limit orders. It could be retail as well. But when you see a huge jump in volume like this, that was like 400,000 shares, and then nothing, that's a good indication that it's ending volume. We're under VWAP. So on the very first candle, right, as soon as you hear the bell, ding, 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 first candle forms, and you see a topping tail with ending volume, and then boom, huge red candle. Now, the thing that made me kind of nervous about this trade was that, and I'll show you where I entered. I entered on this green candle right here for a nice 3-bar play. But the thing that kind of made me nervous about this is we had very light volume. When you see light volume, that could also be an indication of a possible reversal. But it was obvious by the time the third candle had formed, right? This is now 9:32. By the time the third candle had formed, it was clear that buyers were simply not interested. So just like on the first candle, and remember, this is a minute chart I'm reading. Just like on the first candle, on this third candle here, we had a topping tail. This is kind of what I would call maybe a shooting star candle because it kind of looks like a shooting star in the sky. And, by the volume and the way the candle had formed, it was obvious that buyers were not interested. So I entered right here, right? As soon as this candle closed, it was probably at the top of this red candle. And I stayed for this move. Boom! And I was out. Right? As soon as we got the 3-bar play and, that was validated and had played out for me, I'm out of that trade. I mean, I can even show you on my trade history here. Let's see. The first trade of that day would have been, right here, 9:33. And I entered at 9:33.01 and I was out by 9:33.38. And I bought the contract for 180 and sold it for 225. So this is my strategy, right? This is my scalping strategy, right? It's not 100% return. It's not 1,000% return, but this is doable. You could do this. I mean, I did this almost like 7 or 8 times this day. The next trade was on Square at 9:38. So let's just hop over to the Square chart. Similar chart to PayPal where you did have kind of a supply zone. It was broken during pre-market, but it held up as soon as we opened up. And let's see, let's go to 9:38. Yeah, that would have been this green candle right here. I see that we're under VWAP. Now we do have demand below. You got to be careful. You don't want to be holding on to a put when, you're in demand because this thing could have completely reversed. It didn't, but it did kind of bounce off of the demand zone. It was clear that we had support around this, I'd call it the 256 level, right? And again, this is on Square. This is another 1-minute chart. And so I'm sort of watching these play out on my flexible grid. And when I see something I like, right? Like after I took the PayPal trade, I go back over here and I'm like, oh, look, Square, look, let's see what this is doing. I knew we had demand, but we had a lot of selling pressure. We were under VWAP. As soon as this candle had formed here, we kind of chopped around a little bit. As soon as that candle formed with that topping tail, with the low volume, you can see the green volume was getting lower. That was my in. And I entered Square, like I said, at 9:38.22, and I was out by 9:39.43. Bought the contract for $116, and I sold it for $149. So you can see I got in right after this candle formed, and then boom, I sold right at the end, probably right at the bottom of this red candle. As soon as this was starting to show some support, I got out. But I got out with, what is that? 16, let's see, 26, 36. That's almost, it's like a $30 profit right there. $30 in less than 2 minutes. And then I traded PayPal, just kind of scalped PayPal for the rest of the day. We won't go over it all, but there were plenty of valid entries here. Again, I'm scalping, so I'm not trying to catch these moves, right? I'm not trying to catch 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 candles. That's not what I do. Maybe if I had more capital, I would be able to, stay for some of these longer moves, but I'm really just trying to go for a quick move. Like even one candle, like my third trade here would have been at 9:50.18, and I was out by 9:50.52. Bought the contract for $118, and I sold it for $135. So at 9:50, let me see where we're at. Yep, that would have been right here. So we had this rejection, right? You can see on PayPal. Also ending volume. Notice that huge volume spike, but not a lot of follow through, right? That indicates that, and we're under VWAP. That indicates and we have the topping tail. That indicates that we're probably going to go down. So I got in at 950.18 and I was out by 950.52. So that would have been this candle right here. I got in and then I got out. I could have stayed for a longer move, right? But we really don't know. This could have been some kind of, minor pullback, and then it could have broke VWAP. You really do not want to be sticking around for pullbacks. In hindsight, this looked like a pretty decent trade. You probably could have made, with one contract, you probably could have made several $100s had you stayed for, the whole thing. And you can see the red volume kind of picking up. There's definitely reasons that people may have stayed in this trade, but again, I have limited capital, so I need to be in and out of these trades. As soon as I'm in profit, I need to take it. Someday when I have a $50,000 account and I can risk a whole $200 contract, then that's okay. You can stay for these moves, right? Some of you may have more capital than I have. You may want to stay for these moves, but for me, as soon as I saw, price weakness, I got in, got a contract, and as soon as I was in profit, I got out of it. I'll show you one more trade because I was doing this all day, right? 9:59.30 to 10, right? 10:53, almost 10:01. And that would have been, let's see, that was like a $20 trade, $92, and then I sold it for $110. But I'm doing this all day, right? Let's see where that was. 9:59. Yeah, so that was right about here, right? So, I noticed we had a lot of downward pressure. We did have this bottoming tail here. We had a lot of red volume picking up, and I was like, I think this is going to go deeper into the demand zone, right? Because you can see it's touched the demand zone a couple of times, but it keeps coming back to revisit it to pick up more calls. As soon as I saw this at 9:59, I got in, and then boom, it was a pretty decent move, but the option contract, or maybe I had gotten in on kind of a higher price. But as you can see, the option contract, I bought it for $92 and sold it for $110. It could have been maybe there was less volatility because we're now, almost over an hour into the trading day. But you could have done this all day. People say, oh, you can't trade this because it's just sideways action. That's not exactly true. You can trade it. You just have to be very careful. You have to be very quick, and you have to scalp. I could show you every single trade that I took that day. I took, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 trades. But the point is that doing that, I made $129. Did I make every trade? No, I did have a losing trade. I'll show you. Let me just show you a loser, just because I don't want people thinking it's all, peaches and roses. Yeah, this contract right here at 11:33, right? I bought it for $120 and I sold it for $90. Now I did average down, so my position, with the 3 contracts you see here, 120, 78, and 60, I sold all 3 of them for $90. But on this first contract at 11:33. And then I sold it at, 157, 11:33. Let's see here. So I got in 11:33. I got in right here, right around here, because you can see this topping tail. And I was really thinking like, oh, this is going to make another leg lower. And this is where I should have probably stopped trading. I was already up about $100 by now, 115, I think. So at this point, I'm just getting greedy. But I did enter another contract on this candle, and it didn't go my way, right? I had a couple of chances to get out of it, and I didn't. And I sat and held this, right? But I zoomed out and looked at the bigger picture. Like even on a 15-minute chart, you could kind of tell that we weren't going to go anywhere today. So I figured I would stick around, average down while I'm working on my, long-term portfolios. I averaged down, even though I bought the first contract for $120, I got another one for $78 and another one for $60. And then I managed to sell them all at $90 at about almost 2 o'clock, which would have been, it would have been right here. Let me go to a 1-minute chart. I had to wait, for this move right here, and I sold right about here at 157. I think that's 157, right? 13. Yeah, 13 is 1. And I'm glad I did sell it when I did, because look, boom, it did reverse. And that's what I mean. This is why I scalp, because you never know. You could be mad like that you missed a bigger move, or you didn't hold long enough. We always hear the guys on YouTube saying, let your winners run, go for 2 or 3R or nothing. But nobody knows when these things are going to reverse. And if I had held this like 4 candles longer, I would have been caught up in this. I would have been a little upset. I'm not going to lie. And it never did go back down to that price, or at least, not at all for the rest of the day. So I'm glad I got out when I did. But the point is, guys, I made almost a 10% gain just on Friday, a 25% gain throughout the week. And I do want to do more videos about supply and demand and how I use it. I'm basically using the supply and demand zones as reference points for where I'm going to scalp or how I'm going to scalp. I don't necessarily, short at supply and hold all the way down into demand, or, go long in demand and, sell out all the way up at supply. I don't necessarily do that. I'm looking for very quick moves, 30 seconds usually, a minute maybe. That last couple trades I took where I had to wait like over an hour for it to play out. Again, that's just more proof to me that trading after that morning hour is just no good, right? It's no good. It sucks. It's choppy. It's hard to predict. I need to trade between about 9:30 and 10:30 and then just be done, fill out my spreadsheet and walk away, go to the gym. And that's what I'm going to be doing. That's my strategy, right? And I'm just sharing this with you because I didn't really realize how possible it was this time last year. It took me a very long time to figure out how I was going to trade options. I had to stumble upon a few different strategies, people on YouTube promoting different strategies before I found the supply and demand zone, and then coupling that with scalping. That seems to be working for me. It seems to be very, very doable. And that's why I'm making these videos, because I want you as the viewer who may be interested in scalping or trading options to see that even with $1,000, it is possible to get a 25% gain on that. Like I said, my projections are to probably double this account, from the 1,000 to double it and be at 2,000, maybe by the end of this week or the week after. I'm not trying to rush it. And who knows, it is possible that I could lose money next week. That's definitely possible, but I'm going to stick to this strategy, get in and out. On Friday, I kind of overtraded a little bit, even though I ended the day up almost 10%. I did kind of overtrade. I could have taken the 8%, the 7%, the 9%. Any of that would have been good enough. When I'm green on the day, I try my best not to go red, and it can get kind of nerve wracking because some days I'll be up, $30 and it's like, I want to, after one or two trades, and I want to try to work a little bit longer, maybe take another trade to get that up closer to $50 or for over 50, when a lot of the times, even after $30, I should probably just walk away and take that small gain. But next week, I'm going to remain focused, get up very early, try to figure out what the market context is, see if there's any catalysts, negative catalyst or positive catalyst to some of the names that I am trading. I like to trade the same names frequently. That's what I'm doing. So let me know if you have any questions. Please do feel free to comment down below and I'll try to answer them. Like I said, I'm going to make a video about supply and demand and about scalping and just like how I chart. Maybe I'll do a morning routine type of video, but let me know if there's anything else that you have questions on or anything else that you'd like to see from me that you think will be helpful for you in your trading journey, because that's what I'm here for. I just want to provide for you some inspiration, some ideas, maybe a little bit of direction and guidance, really just provide an example of what is possible. So let me know what else you want to see. Let me know, where are you putting your money? What are you trading? I know we've got Dogecoin on fire right now. We got Bitcoin down like 10%. Oh man, the crypto markets are crazy. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend. And as always, I'm Charles Marlowe with Millennial Trades. God bless.